Here.
No, I'm not a writer.
Okay.
And here we go. This is Mike Lodge. I am the business advisor, and I'm glad that you're with me this morning. It is still raining here in South Carolina. Just took my dog out, got wet, came back in. Let him do his business, and then came right back in. I don't particularly like to be wet for some reason. I just don't like it. I mean, I love taking showers. That's great. But being outside in 60-degree weather and rain falling on you, it's not a torrent like it was yesterday. It's just like a sprinkle this morning. And it's not very much fun. And Skippy loves it. My dog Skippy loves to just sit down in the rain and just enjoy the cool water flowing on him. He never used to be that way. He used to be a kind of dog that said, "Get me out of this rain. I hate it." But that's when he lived in Beverly Hills. Now that he lives in South Carolina, he's got to live with it. Listen, I have to talk to you today about creative accounting. And creative accounting is used a lot to readjust your numbers so that you can do other things. Is it a good thing? No, it's not good at all, because you should have known this in the very beginning. And it's not a very ethical one to start changing your numbers around. And if you do find an accounting error, then if there's money in the bank or there, it may not even be there, but they're creatively on the balance sheet, it looks like it's there, that money should stay within the United States and say, okay, we need to fund our own issues. So what happened? Well, the Pentagon, which has had a tremendous amount of accounting errors. In fact, they've lost billions of dollars because they don't know where it went to. And now all of a sudden they magically appear $6.2 billion. And guess where it's going? Yeah, it's going to the Ukraine. So the Pentagon uncovered an accounting error. Well, I don't even know if it was an error. Honest to tell you, if you're just reevaluating and moving numbers around, that's just creative accounting. So they, quote, say they found an accounting error in valuing the weapons it had sent to Ukraine. The surplus will be used for future military support to Ukraine. Now, I'm not buying this at all. This is ridiculous because government accounting has supposed to have higher standards of accounting, higher standards of financial reporting than any other entity in the United States, because massive amounts and billions and billions and billions of dollars, trillions of dollars are going through the Pentagon, going through the Department of Defense. Now, if they have an accounting issue, they had better start redoing their accounting department, because something's wrong. I hate government accounting. If I tried to, in my accounting career, I have tried to stay away from government accounting because I find that it is an unethical way of accounting. I just don't like it. And there's very little say of who and why the money's being spent. It's just spent. If you think about the billions of dollars that has gone to Ukraine, and we have no tracking purposes or systems in place to track what's that money being used for. Or what is our equipment being used for? Is our equipment still there for us to take back? I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous on how the United States government overpays, overexhausts budgets. And this has been a big problem in the United States government for quite some time, where they don't really feel that the tax money that we are sending in as Americans should be traced all that much. And so we lose billions and billions of dollars a year. We have billions spent on equipment and parts that are so out of range in the pricing of it that we're overpaying on a lot of these parts for the military. Everything is exaggerated. When vendors come in, they over-exaggerate their numbers. And the government says, okay, yeah, sure, we'll pay it. So there's a $300 toilet. Yeah, but the vendor's done a little bit of markup, so now it's $10,000 a toilet. We have always had this problem, and no one in government ever addresses it. And if this continues to happen, this is why the debt limits go up, the debt ceiling goes up, spending goes up. Government contractors are overbilling in a lot of cases. We heard about this back in the Reagan era. And Reagan was upset, but we have a president now, we have a Congress now that seems, we don't care. It's just taxpayer money for the government, and the government is so pure and ethical at all times, I say facetiously. So we have this problem, and we need for it to be addressed before more and more of this nonsense goes on. Government spending is out of control. Government management of funds seems to be non-existent because so many accounting errors happen. But that's government. That's what happens with government, right? But we've got to put a stop to it because it can't go on this long, and we as taxpayers are paying for it out of our lunch money, which we no longer have lunch anymore because we can't afford lunch. I hate it when I talk about government because it's so stupid. The other thing I wanted to talk about, the Wall Street Journal came out with an article about employees who are coming to work high. And we're not talking about alcohol type of highness. We're talking about marijuana type of highness. So what's happening is that bosses are now having to spend their time on figuring out who is high at work. This is ridiculous. So we have all of these drug freedom to use acts in all of these states, and now we have an issue with people coming to work high. With 1 in 6 American adults saying they smoke marijuana. So now companies are changing how they police use of the drug at work. Should not be the role of a boss because he has other things to get done. He has projects to achieve for his clients. He has buildings that need to be built and they have equipment to be moved. And now he has to worry about who's coming to work high. And everyone says, we will never have a problem with this. But we are. We're now having that problem with it. And I asked this when Colorado first adopted the drug issue, the use of issue, and the marijuana laws. What is going to happen at work? How are you going to be able to tell if it's hurting the productivity of the company? So more Americans are using marijuana. Their employers are trying to decide how much that matters, and it matters a lot. 1 in 6 American adults now say they smoke marijuana, a share that has eclipsed the number of cigarette smokers, according to recent Gallup data. An expanding legalization of the drug has led more companies to scrap employee drug testing. Instead, many are leaning on managers to spot signs that workers are impaired on the job. And they used a very good example where an individual was so impaired that he ran the forklift into the side of a building because he was on marijuana. So we have those safety issues that we have to look at, and bosses have to look at. And in some states, you're able to fire them. In others, you have to offer them rehabilitation and warnings and everything else. But people can get fired because of the use of marijuana on the job, because it's affecting their job. It's affecting the safety of others. It's affecting the quality of work that is out there. It used to be, if you tested positive, you would be let go. And there's this one individual who's an attorney who is now training companies. And he's had trained a dozen companies to spot the signs of drug-related impairment. In the last 2 years, he has had to train that. Managers are really on the front lines of making these determinations, and it's very difficult to do so. Because there are some that are using it for diabetes, they're using it for other ailments. So what they're doing is approaching workers who appear under the influence, and by the way, this is a very delicate proposition. But what happens is that when you have employees intoxicated or on the power of that drug, it puts you in a very difficult situation. At one company, workers flagged for appearing under the influence have sometimes turned out to have a medical issue such as diabetes. And so you have to watch out for those. But bosses are trained not to assume or to ask someone whether they're talking pills or drinking. Instead, the company advises managers to look for behaviors they can document and to broach the issue with a question such as, I noticed you are slurring, stumbling. Are you feeling okay? That's what the line of questioning has to be. And employees found to be high on the job might be warned, they might be offered counseling, or, depending on the jurisdiction and the nature of the performance issue, fired. The company recently ordered a drug test for an employee in Virginia where marijuana possession is legal. After the worker drove a forklift into an overhead door, it wasn't the side of the building, it was an overhead door. The worker was fired after testing positive, given the safety violation involved. So we have to be very careful. And then, you know what's really amazing? If we have government workers going into the job high on marijuana, what kind of a government do we have? We have a government that's in jeopardy. Honestly, the government, the federal government, and even state governments should have a no drug tolerant policy, unless it's for medical purposes. Because now you have people operating jets, you have people operating tanks, you have people handling guns, you have all kinds of different people handling mail and everything else. And if they are intoxicated under this drug, it puts American safety at issue. So bosses, I pity you in your new job role as drug czars in your company. But keep up the good work, remove the issues, and work on those individuals that really need your help. Listen, this is Michael Lodge, and I am the business advisor. And if you would like to sit down with me and go through business issues confidentially, go to my website. You can book me online at www.lodge-co.com. And if you have a business question, send it to thebusinessadvisor@gmail.com. That's it for today. Everybody, God bless you. Love you. Talk with you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you for your grace, your amazing grace. Thank you for the way that you forgive me every day. Thank you for your grace, your amazing grace. Great is your mercy. Thank you for